Welcome, gamers, to this week's episode of Last Call Gaming. We're on episode 112. My name is Craig Perales, and joining me, as always, is Major Monteme.
Toodaloo.
So, just wanted...
Goodbye.
Is it?
I don't
Oh, yeah.
know,
Would you say Toodaloo?
Yeah.
You're a little Toodaloo. I just want to give a quick apology to you guys. We did miss 2 weeks of the show. 2 weeks ago, I was very under the weather, and we couldn't make it. And then the prior week, we just kind of said, let's just knock out some of the games that we're going to be talking about today, and then we'll just kind of revisit the show this weekend. So sorry for the delay, guys, but we are back and running. So before we move any further, guys, if you are watching us on YouTube, do us a favor, hit the like button, hit the comment, or jump down below in the comments, leave us something cool, and then hit the subscribe button. But definitely share it, because the more people you can share it to, the more we can spread our Last Call Gaming love. Also, guys, check out our Linktree link. That'll take you to all of our social media platforms. So if our Instagram and our Twitter is something you're interested in following, you can find that there. And if you guys are listening to the audio only version of this podcast, check that out on Anchor, and then from there, Anchor can redirect you to like iTunes and Spotify or whatever other platform you want to see.
For any of you who are out there, new, old, whatever, we personally want to extend a big thank you, actually, because we recently just hit 5,000.
Cheers.
Oh.
That's a cheers moment, my friend.
We hit 5K in subscribers. And honestly, we never thought we'd ever be as far as we are now. I remember I posted the other day on Instagram when we hit it. I never thought we'd ever hit like 100. I remember how excited we were just to hit that first 100. And it's just crazy to see that stuff coming in. And I mean, I'm super grateful, super appreciative of every single one of you. Like, it literally is like crazy to see.
Yeah, now we just need to get the views to turn to 5K. And then, hey, we sound as a pound, baby.
Hey, 10K's only a month away.
Exactly. So, as we do, guys, we like to drink beer on the show. And generally, it's a beer that we kind of look at and see how it tastes. But Andrew picked up the Kona Island Hopper, which is a variety pack of Kona, which is one of our favorite manufacturers of beer. And it comes with 4 different flavors. One is the Kua Bay IPA, which is a 7.3%. The Castaway IPA, which is 6%. The Longboard Island Lager, which is 4.6%. And the Big Wave Golden Ale, which is 4.4%. Which one did you say we've never done? Was it the Castaway?
We haven't done the Castaway or the Kua Bay.
So the 2 that we started with are actually kind of the roughest ones compared to how generally good Big Wave is. Like, these ones are a little rougher on the palate.
I think the funniest thing is lately every IPA we've had that we think is going to be dog shit has been really good. And now that we've gone with a trusted company, their 2 IPAs fucking suck.
Yeah, so if you guys are drinking along at home, grab something and have a nice, comfy, cozy beer while you watch our Last Call Gaming show. So, before we get into our main stories, Andrew and I like to do What Are You Up To, where we take a minute and talk about what we've been playing, what we've been watching, any cool trips we may or may not have been on. So, Andrew, what are you up to?
I have actually not been doing too much besides playing video games. I don't remember if I had said it last time that I'd beaten Metroid Dread. I think I might have been on the end, but I have beaten Metroid Dread, and I absolutely love that game. Like, that's in my Game of the Year categories.
It's a front runner.
Is surprising that we'll get to that later. But Call of Duty also dropped. I beat the story on that. We'll probably do like a separate video or something later, kind of on my thoughts on that. I'll tell you right now, I'm not too crazy about it. I've still been playing lots of Warzone, and I actually finally just hit my 100th Warzone win. It seemed like I was stuck on 99 for like 2 weeks, dude. I didn't want to play anything else, even though I have other games that I need to beat and everything for the show. I kept coming home like, fuck no, this is going to be the day. I'm going to get 100. 2.5 weeks later. Battlefield.
2.5 weeks to finally hit it. Hey, we're doing congratulations all around today, man. And congrats on the 100th victory.
But Battlefield also came out. I've been playing lots of Battlefield, lots of Halo. But as far as anything else, I finished up those movies that made us. I actually really liked the whole horror series that they did.
On Netflix,
yeah. The only one that I haven't watched yet that I need to go back and finish is the RoboCop 2 one. And then today, since it just dropped yesterday, I'm going to be diving into the Cowboy Bebop live action series because I'm super, super, super excited for that because that's one of my favorite animes of all time. So
nice. So what I've been up to when I was under the weather and sick, I was actually just kind of watching a movie every night with Deandra, and we rewatched the Harry Potter series, which is on HBO Max.
Too.
So it's not for everybody, and I get that. That's fine. But I love Harry Potter, and one of the cool things about movies is that when you can share a movie with somebody who's never seen it before and ends up really liking it. She's never seen any of the Harry Potters.
Neither is Christina. I've been meaning to go back and watch them.
Well, because I've seen a lot of them. I've seen 1 through 5 probably multiple times. The last 2 I think I've only seen a couple. So I remember reading the books, but those movies are kind of like vague in my head. So it was really nice to go back and actually rewatch them and be like, oh yeah, that's what they did in the movie, and that's how they ended it. Because especially with 7 being split into part 1 and part 2,
right?
It was a lot of fun to going back and re-watching that. As far as what I've been playing. Actually a lot, like just like Andrew. I just beat Guardians of the Galaxy. I 100%ed it. Great game, fantastic soundtrack, sleeper hit of the year. I recommend everybody, if it's something you're into, play it, because the Guardians of the Galaxy in this game are not the ones that you see in the MCU. These guys, in my opinion, are actually way more likable and way more fun to be around. I was telling Andrew, there is this fucking glitch that I wish I knew about beforehand, because it took me time to go back and do it. So there's an achievement for, and this is only if you're achievement hunting, so don't worry about it if you're just trying to play the game. There's an achievement that you have to unlock everybody's main skills. So they have 3 skills, and then they have a 4th ability that you unlock naturally through the game.
Right.
So but you get enough points, because when you do combat battles, you gain experience and you get a point, and you can put that into, you started playing it. So if you get everyone's abilities first before the storyline comes up and gives it to you, then you can unlock the achievement, at least unless they patch it. So I bought everyone's ability, and Groot's natural ability was the last one to get. So when it came, I didn't get anything. And when I looked up the bug patches, it says save one, don't buy them all. Wait till you get Groot's and then buy the last point, and that'll do it. Because if not, you've got to go back and replay every mission that they get their ability on, and one of them are going to make it pop. So I redid one, the longest mission, didn't work. Went and played the next one, didn't work. Went and played the last one, and it finally popped. So I had to go back and play 3 missions out of a 16 mission game. So that was my only gripe, but the game was extremely fun and worth playing. And if you are going to play it and you are achievement hunting, take my advice and save 1 point, do Groot's ability, and then you can buy the last one and let it pop. So that was a pain in the ass. So make sure you do that when you play. I was playing Call of Duty Vanguard, multiplayer online, and I don't know, maybe on mission 4 with the campaign. I'm with Andrew. I think I like it maybe a little more than you. I'm not done with it, but it's not great. They probably should have, I don't know, maybe left one out. And then again, we've been playing a lot of Halo, which is something we are about to dive into. So that's a perfect segue. So our main story, guys, is that Halo Infinite multiplayer dropped early because they were celebrating the 20th anniversary of Halo. And which, if you were following any of the rumors, a lot of this was kind of being speculated. A lot of people were following people and saying that, there's hints that they are going to drop it because the full game still comes out December 8th of the end of this year, 2021. So
technically, they're still calling this a beta.
Yeah, they're still calling it a beta, but it does have like achievements now and things like that. And you have a lot of access, but they also, instead of just console, you can also play it on PC and Steam, and it's actually doing extremely well, though. So before Andrew and I get into our reviews about the game, I just want to read this quick article from IGN that kind of explains how they've been doing on the PC world, and it says, as per Steam DB, the game has seen a huge influx of players within the first day since its release. Across the period, Halo's infinite peak number of concurrent players eclipsed the 250,000 mark at 272,856, instantly ranking it at the 22nd in the platform's all-time peak player count rankings. This places the game above the likes of Payday 2 and Rust, and just below Skyrim and Destiny 2. Given the game reached this peak on Monday, it's entirely possible it will climb those charts this week. And it has. So this was released a few days ago, and since then, it's actually been growing. And it actually hit the #1 game that Microsoft has ever had on Steam. So the top 5 that they've had is #1, Halo Infinite, which is at 201,000 and growing. Halo, the Master Chief Collection at 161,000. Forza Horizon 5 at 81,000, Age of Empires 4 at 73,000, and Sea of Thieves at 66,000. So, good for Xbox, man. I mean, it was a bold move for them to release it at the same time, PC and console, but it just shows that this thing's gonna have life. So, I don't know, are you impressed at all by these numbers? I mean, it seems to be doing pretty good. I mean, it blew out everything else, and it's now their #1 game on Steam.
I look at it as kind of two ways because not only can you play it on Steam, my friend actually just played it on his cell phone with like a controller via like that Android cloud thing, and he said it ran absolutely great on there.
No download times.
That's super impressive by itself. But one, I wonder if they already had this plan to come out like, hey, all right, we're going to do this. Or two, they saw that Battlefield launched, and Battlefield has a lot of bugs. It's got a lot of problems, a lot of things that aren't working. Call of Duty the same way, or it's really not that good, personally, for me. I personally did not like this year. So for them to just drop and be like, all right, and, maybe we weren't going to do this. Now for sure we're going to, seeing that the last two games are, I don't want to say dog shit, but they're not 10s, they're not 8s, they're more like 5s, maybe even 4s for them. Like, let's just get in there and fucking kill them.
Yeah.
Like, why not? And that was the big thing, is I was super excited. I was like, all right, cool. It's I got all these shooters. It's that end of the year momentum like it used to be, where you're just playing between different games. Call of Duty I already thought was going to let me down, so I didn't have hype for that. Battlefield really let me down, except for there's like one game mode that I love playing. But other than that, I'm like, dude, there's just too much going on. They really need to patch a lot of this shit. They really need to like fix a lot of things on this game. They gave it like a 7 online, and I was like, dude, I think even that's like too high. I think that's being generous.
For sure.
So I was like, dude, I hope that if Halo I was like, that sucks if this is all I have to play. And then those Halo rumors started popping up, and I was like, cool, dude, if this thing drops and it's really good, especially being that far out from launch, like almost like
3
a whole
weeks,
almost a whole month ahead. I was like, dude, then that'll be dope. And as soon as I played it, as soon as I've been in it, that's all I want to play. And the other two I'll play if someone's on it and they don't have anything else. But if I know for sure they have Halo, I'm like, no, we're not playing that shit. Jump on Halo.
Yeah, because it was a very bold gambit for them to do this, but it was extremely smart. And the fact that they're letting people get their hands on it, get early feedback, because there are going to be some dislikes that we're going to talk about in a second. The game so far is not only free and on the Game Pass and on PC, but there's a lot to it. So outside of the campaign, you have access to everything the game so far has to offer, which is the Academy, which does tutorials, weapon drills, and the training mode. You've got your custom game, the customized tab, the community, as well as the shop. And then you have multiplayer itself, which does quick play, the bot boot camp, the big team battle, and ranked. So you've got a lot to do with this this beta that's out right now. And like Andrew's saying, it's extremely fun. So Andrew, what has been the biggest things you've liked so far about playing this, like in particular?
Actually, it's not for me, but one of the things I actually really like, and something I like from past games like Call of Duty Black Ops used to have it, is I like the bot boot camp. I've been exploiting it for achievements, but that's not the only reason to do it. That's a big thing for people out there who have never played Halo, or let's say you have children who, maybe aren't the best and you don't want them just getting massacred out there. They can play these bots and just have fun and really feel like they're doing something and learn how to play the game. You can practice your moves, techniques, shooting with guns. They have all kinds of way for you to practice, and so other games have done that before, but Halo has never had something like that. Not that I can remember anyways. That I'm like, damn, that was actually really, really cool for them to put something like that in there, because they didn't have to.
Yeah, extremely smart idea, because, I mean, there's no denying that when you play ranked matches and you play higher up guys, you get murked. And, that can make people fall off of playing this game. But when you've got bots and you've got something that's a little more down to earth to play, because the bot AI is actually getting smarter as well. It's not just pushovers like it was on the flights. The bots is actually getting better at playing. And, there's been times when I've played and the bots kill me, here and there. They're actually getting better with their grenade kills and stuff. So, like Andrew's saying, it is a perfect way to experiment with it, learn the maps, play with the guns without being in a match-made event and getting your ass kicked. So yeah, I completely love the fact that they added bots.
Yeah, I kind of like that too. Like, that was another excellent point. It's like, okay, I can learn this map and like kind of play around with it, see where shit spawn, versus just loading an empty custom game.
Yeah. So the other thing, I was liking, like I said, achievements are on this game already, even though it's the beta. You can already start playing it and start hunting around and doing that. And Andrew and I both like doing achievements. The other thing I found that I'm really enjoying is I really like the big team battles. Like, I'm having so much fun jumping on there, because I think it's 16 to 24 players or something like that can jump in there. It's a lot more fun than I thought. Generally, I'm like a Slayer person. I like the 4-on-4, but the more like when me and Dante and Andrew were playing, like, it's just so much fun calling out to each other. It just brings me back to like the old Halo 2 days. So I don't know. I'm extremely happy with that. The other thing I like is the equipment. Whether you like the equipment or dislike the equipment, it doesn't seem too powerful. Like, it seems
Right.
balanced. None of this stuff. I mean, the grappling hook's dope. The shield's really cool. Obviously, you have like armor and invisibility, some of the old school stuff, but like it seems very well balanced with the rest of the pace of the game. So I like that there's not one that's like extremely like that everyone goes for that's extremely overpowered. So I don't know. I really like that as well. And then the nostalgia feel goods. The maps themselves do have that old school Halo vibe to them. I really, really enjoy that.
Yeah, I would say so far, like I haven't, and that's the beautiful thing about it. Maybe that's what I'm most impressed with too, is I haven't had a single issue. The only, the only problem I think we've had, and it's not even how the game runs, is when we were playing together, it would put us in a different squad for some reason. So it's hard for me to tell where Craig is when I'm giving out callouts because his name's not in green; it's in blue with everybody else's. But I don't know if it's because I didn't join the party right and I joined as they're joining a matchmaking and maybe that's what did or something. But that was the only problem I ever had with the game. It's like I'm trying to give him a call out or he's looking on the map because he maybe had a weapon specific achievement or challenge to do and I'm like, hey, I found it right here. Oh fuck, well I don't see you directly right away. Which blue marker are you? Okay, I'm over here on the east side of the map.
It should be green. Yeah, so
that other than that is the only complaint I've had.
Okay,
this game runs beautifully.
So I'm going to get into a few dislikes. So you said your main one. Let me read off a couple of these. Tell me how you feel about them, and if I missed anything, add it at the end here. So this game is running fantastic. It's great, but it's not without its problems. And one of the biggest problems that this game has and you guys got to remember, this is a beta. Like, things will change come, this in December. Like, this game will be updated and things will change. But the biggest one that every outlet and every fan is talking about is how slow the Battle Pass is. The Battle Pass, if you guys aren't familiar with what that is the more you level up in it, the more kind of in-game things you can get, such as like skins and experience boosters. And what was happening is that the only way to level up was to get experience through doing challenges. And some of the challenges, I wouldn't want to say like are tough, but they're just like, they're long. They're kind of,
kill somebody with the shittiest weapon in the match.
A bad gun or something. So that's the only way to level up. So there were people that I was in like Podcasts Unlocked. They were saying like they've been playing for hours and they're on level 1 or 2. Like, I've been playing since it came out. I'm only level 6.
Yeah,
and
I guess I can see that.
And that is one of the biggest things they said that they are changing. Like, they did listen and they say, yes, we are going to fix that. But when it launched, you could start buying the in-game currency to buy the season pass, which originally was $9.99. But when I checked today, it's actually, everything dropped. So if you guys want to get the battle pass, it's $8.99, and that's going to be the only way to actually collect everything, because there are certain things you can get for free, but if you want everything, all the skins and all that, you're going to have to pay for it. And right now it did drop $1. So if you were waiting, maybe now is the time to get it.
Right. Warzone does the same thing. There's free shit that you get from playing, but if you want the stuff that are in between that, you have to have the battle pass paid for.
Yeah, so the next thing I would say that I personally have no problem with, but this is something I am reading that people are having problems with, is there's a small amount of maps. The maps that came out for the game are only 10. 7 for the small games and 3 for the big games, the big team battles. And the biggest problem people are having with that, with such small maps, which I can see this, is that it feels repetitive. You play 4 games in a row, BTB, you're only seeing 3 maps. So, I mean, it might feel like you're doing the same thing constantly without seeing a mixed variety. How do you feel about, as someone that plays a lot of multiplayers, are maps important in terms of quantity or quality?
It's important, but honestly, I don't even think I noticed, because actually the other day when I first started, I don't think you were playing. I think it was me, my cousin AJ, and then Dante ended up jumping on. And there is one game mode I'm not a fan of, but other people like it. The one where you have to collect the power seeds.
The battery things?
Yeah, the battery seeds or whatever it is, and you put them into the slots. I ended up having to play that same match on the same map.
Oh,
like 4 times in a row.
Yeah, that's
in
no
big
good.
team battle.
No bueno.
But I had so much fun. We didn't even notice until the 3rd game that I was like, of course, by the 3rd game, I was like, oh, that's the same game mode. I'm not crazy about this one. But by the 3rd game, 4th game, that's when I was like, wait, have we been on the same map this whole time?
It's just my big game.
By then, I didn't even notice. But I was having so much fun and everything else was so good that that's a testament to like how it felt. So that's, I guess, maybe why I don't have as big a problem with that. That, and for a beta, I'm sure maybe when they'll launch with the campaign and stuff, maybe they'll have some more maps. But I can understand that. That's a very fair argument.
And the thing you got to remember is that Halo Infinite is the end game. Like, there is no more, theoretically, there's not going to be a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Infinite is it. So they've got to have longevity. So they're going to start with 10. and they're going to keep growing. They're going
Right.
to keep adding it. Every season, you're probably going to see 2 to 3 maps added because they need something to keep people hooked. They can't launch with 20 like Call of Duty did, and they've got to grow. So I don't mind it because the maps, in my opinion, are well done.
I was going to say, I'd rather launch with 10 than launch with 20 that are designed like shit, run like shit, have weird design philosophies that don't make sense or whatever. Everything I've played so far is cohesive to Halo's gameplay, because there's nothing worse than when like you play a map and let's say you're playing something in Halo, because I've had some of that in past Halos. I'm like, I feel like they designed this for Call of Duty.
Yeah. So the other big thing that I have an issue with is that, as far as I can tell, and maybe it's updated, but you can't select what game modes you want to keep in your lineup of what you want to play. When you hit it, it gives you everything. Like, I don't want to play, like, Capture the Flag. I just don't like playing it.
I love Capture
and
the
the
Flag.
fact that you can't, like, because if you play the Master Chief Collection, you can select exactly what game modes you want to play, and that's the only that's going to be in your lobby feed. This game so far does not have that, and I can only imagine that that's going to be something that they add, because if you don't want to play oddball, like Andrew just said, he played the same game 3 times in a row, I would check that out and click and go, okay, we played enough of that for today. Let's focus on some other things.
I can understand that.
I don't understand why that's something that you can't do. I'd imagine, though, it's something they're going to fix.
Right. I'm trying to think. I think the only other complaint maybe that I have that I read they're going to maybe put back in is I miss the assassinations. They took those out.
Assassinations were a lot of fun, but it slows down the game. I mean, because I remember you could get assassinated and then you could still get killed while you're in the middle of one.
They said a lot of people turn them off, but I tend to like leave them on because I'm no like pro ranked Halo player, nothing like that. So I have fun doing them. I love doing those and seeing like all the crazy cool ones that they have in there.
I would say, sticking with the game modes, the one thing, and I hope they would add it soon, is there's no SWAT. SWAT is a game mode that I want to say anyone that likes a fucking BR likes to play. And for me, it's like how it's like everyone likes to, I mean, maybe that's not what the bots are, like a warm-up, but like SWAT was a good way for me to warm up, just to start getting your headshots on, just to start getting things in there. And I'd imagine that they're going to start adding more game modes. Again, they're going to be here for a while, but I didn't like that there's no SWAT. The other thing is, it seems sometimes that like when we're in a group, it takes a while to get into a game.
I never had that issue.
You never had an issue? Okay, so, and then the last thing I want to say, and this is preference, and I don't really have an issue, but I know a lot of people are talking, some of the guns feel gimmicky and like not like watered down versions of past guns. Like, not everyone likes the Mangler, not everybody likes the shock rifle, but they've got to experiment. They've got to add new things to this because it's got to evolve. You've got to have new things, and right now we're in the testing period. Things will be tweaked, things, time to kills will change with certain things. So
I started off not liking the pistol, but I love the pistol.
The pistol now, dude, is my.
I'm the fastest gun in the West, dude. I'm like, I'll 6-shot your head all day.
Yeah. So overall, with that being aside, because again, I think a lot of this can be fixed, is that Halo is looking really, really good, and as long as they do a good campaign, the campaign, in my opinion, doesn't have to be great. It just has to be good and better than the last two. And if they listen to the fans and change these little things in multiplayer, this thing has the opportunity to run 2022 as far as the shooter, because Halo hasn't been like a dominant conversation since like Halo 3 back in 2007, when that was what everyone played. But since then, you've had Call of Duties become annualized, and they kind of took the top spot. You've had people doing MOBAs, which have been 24/7, and then you've had Battle Royals come in. So Halo took a big backseat for a decade almost. So
like 5-7 years.
if they can launch a good campaign and tweak all these little things I think that we're having an issue with in the multiplayer, dude, this thing could be the next juggernaut and back on King of the Hill.
I think as like a testament to hopefully we're on the right track, because they do have lots of campaign previews out. I personally haven't read any of that stuff. I don't want to read any of it. I read someone just saying like, I love it or I hate it, but I don't want to hear about it. And they said that they've loved it, that it's been really good so far. Some dude even compared it to like Breath of the Wild, but better. And I'm like, that sounds weird, but I'm open to that. But as far as like, if you look at all of our complaints or like whatever it was that's there, none of that's on gameplay. Like, this game's not fun.
Yeah, exactly.
It's boring.
None of it's on gameplay.
It runs like shit. It's you're jumping all over the place. It's lagging.
It's almost all
the network
preference.
servers.
It's almost all how my feelings on it.
It's all preferences and things that are minor changes. Because I love some of the new guns. So again, it's all depending on who you
the
talk
Heat Wave
to.
has been one of my favorite guns, dude. When we were doing BTBs and people were in like Warthogs, dude, the Heat Wave just destroys everybody. So I mean, And again, I mean, look what we're complaining about. Nothing to do with gameplay, like Andrew's saying, that there's no SWAT, that people don't like the maps. Like, that has nothing to do with how good the game feels and how great it is to play with someone.
Right. So it's all small changes, and they've got nothing but time to do it.
Yeah. So if you guys have been playing Halo,
if you haven't, get out there and
leave
get
it in the
it.
comments below. And if you haven't, it's free to play on Game Pass, and you have multiple ways to play it, whether it's on console or PC or like your phone. Get out there, play it, and experience the goodness. So,
and even if you've never been good at Halo, again, there's that bot boot camp in there. Get in there and try your hand at that, and maybe it'll just click for you. You know, it teaches you things, and there's all kinds of stuff you can experiment with. It's fun.
Yeah, it is. So do that and let us know what your experience is. So moving into our next story, guys. The Game Awards for 2021 are happening soon. They're going to be live December 9th at the Microsoft Theater in Los Angeles. Andrew and I went to one, 2 years ago now?
Yeah, we would have gone more, but COVID hit. So
COVID hit, but we did go to one, and it was awesome. There was a lot of cool stuff to see. They do live music performances and stuff like that. So it's something we actually look forward to every year. And if you guys are interested in this, check out thegameawards.com. You can actually vote on all the categories that they have. They have 30 categories with Game of the Year, Best Game Direction, Best Narrative, a bunch of different things. But what Andrew and I want to discuss specifically are what they've nominated for Game of the Year. Because Andrew and I, between the two of us, have played all of them except one. But I will end up playing it because I do have it on the PS5. And then we'll discuss maybe anything that might be missing. So, what they've actually nominated is Deathloop from Arcane Studios and Bethesda, It Takes Two from Hazelight Studios in EA, Metroid Dread from Mercury Steam and Nintendo, Psychonauts 2 from Double Fine and Xbox Game Studios, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart from Insomniac Games and Sony Interactive Entertainment, and Resident Evil Village from Capcom. It's a strong lineup. It's got a lot of heavy games, a lot of good games, a lot of games that I know people were saying were Game of the Year. How did you feel about the 6 that they've actually chosen?
I like that they're actually very diverse. Like, none of those two games are like anything really alike from each other. I mean, I haven't played Deathloop, so I can't like really speak on that. But personally, 2 of my games are on there: Metroid Dread and Resident Evil Village. I absolutely love Village. I still, and maybe I'm a little biased too, because when I did Village, that was the first game I ever live streamed. I live streamed it front to back with you guys who were generous enough to watch with me. So that was a completely different experience. That game truly has a special place in my heart, because I had so much fun, not just playing it, but interacting with people, you know, trying to help me figure out stuff and getting scared with me and everything. Like, I absolutely loved it and had a really good time. And Metroid Dread really just kind of came out of nowhere for me. Like, that game was so good. It reminded me of almost when I was playing my Game Boy Advance and doing Metroid Fusion, which I love. Out of these other ones, I haven't had a chance to play Psychonauts 2 or It Takes Two. I haven't played Ratchet & Clank, but I did watch it like front to back. I think it's like, and I'm one of those weird people that sometimes I get maybe just as much gratification out of watching a game I don't think I could play versus playing it through. So I thought the story was good. It was graphically a beautiful game. Like, I think it really did a lot for the console. So I would say those are kind of more my front runners before Psychonauts 2, It Takes Two, or Deathloop. But again, I didn't play Deathloop or It Takes Two.
Yeah, Deathloop is a game that is, I'm really happy that it made it. Arcane Studio did something really unique. I mean, it's been done before, but it's something that, like, a lot of people were kind of concerned of, like, what is this game? How's it going to play? What exactly do you do? Who are you? And when it dropped, it actually got a lot of love. I don't know if it got a 10, but I know it was at least a 9 or higher.
I think it got a 10.
I know it was up there. And so this is a game that's exclusively on the PS5, but it will be coming to the Game Pass eventually, because it's an Arcane Xbox on Studio. So I do have it on the PS5, and I haven't got to play it yet, but I do plan on maybe not beating it before the Game Awards, but at least playing it and getting my hands in it. It Takes Two. I just started that with my brother, and I love Hazelight. If you guys aren't familiar with them, they're a very small studio
that makes Brothers.
Yeah, they've only made 3 games. They've made Brothers, which is an extremely well done, like, twin stick protagonist game. When you play the 2 brothers, each one's a stick. They have abilities. The next one was It's a Way Out, which are these 2 guys breaking out of prison, and then the story that unfolds with that. And then this new one is these 2 characters that are getting a divorce, and their daughter kind of wishes them to be to be friends again, and then it puts them into this unique story that requires a second player to beat the game. And the cool thing is if you did buy it, because now it's on the Game Pass, I believe, or it's on the EA access. But if you bought the game, it gave you a digital code to give to a friend code, so that you could play with it. So for me, It Takes Two is the surprise one that I would not be upset at all if it won, because me and Geno have been playing it, and we beat the first mission. It's fantastic. This game is great, and if it stays that way, then I can see why this game is up for it. Andrew's talking about Metroid Dread. He beat it. I have it now. I'm going to play it next, but Psychonauts 2 was one that I think a lot of people were kind of waiting to see how it was going to do, and then when it dropped, it's fantastic. I mean, I don't know if it was Game of the Year for me as number one. It might be in my top 5, but on the surface, it looks like a kid game, like a colorful action platform comedy game.
It just reminds me of Ants when I look at it.
But its undertones are dark and deal with, mental health issues and, people with suicide and all this depression. So it's got a crazy tone that a mature audience can find very well. Ratchet & Clank for me out of this lineup, is the game of the year. It's fantastic. It's enjoyable. It took what the PS4 remake did, improved on it, and I loved it so much more. It added a new character that was fantastic. And then I completely see where Andrew's coming from with Resident Evil Village. 7 was fantastic. 8, I think, did something cool with adding the werewolves and adding all the new kind of characters. So I don't know, man. It's an extremely strong lineup. The only thing I want to bring up is and I want to hear your thoughts too, of what you think might be missing, because
I just wanted to ask you that. Like, what would be a game that you would put on that list?
For me, it's the game that everybody is talking about and is extremely surprised it didn't make it, is Forza Horizon 5.
I heard it got 4 nominations.
Forza Horizon is the highest scoring new game of 2021, and it did something impressive. It made a genre, racing and driving, that is not for everybody. That's a very specific audience. They're like fighting games. Not everybody enjoys them or can really do them. And it took an audience like me who does not play these games, and I'm playing it, dude, I'm playing it every day, and every outlet is giving this game 9s and 10s. And to me, it's just a head scratcher where the game that got the best reviewed,
they got snubbed for sure.
Yeah, that's pulling in the highest audience, that is doing something, that is a game by all definition that people can just play and experiment with. I'm extremely surprised that this didn't get nominated, and like Andrew's saying, a lot of people are saying it got snubbed at the Game Awards, because the Game Awards is voted on by a certain jury of people and outlets and content creators. So a lot of kind of things behind it are like, oh, they only vote for certain types of games. But when you look at this lineup, Andrew's right. A lot of things are different in this. It Takes Two is a 2-player required game. Metroid Dread is a side scroller. Deathloop is a
whatever it is.
The repeat game that we got a horror game. You've got Psychonauts 2 that was 20 years later. So I like the lineup, and I wouldn't argue it. I'm just confused how a game that did as well as Forza didn't make the list.
Yeah, that Forza for sure got snubbed. I mean, I played a little bit of Forza. It's not for me, but I really like it and appreciate what they've done. And I have to respect the fact that, yeah, they've gotten like 10s, 9s across the board. Like, everyone's loving it. The one game I really kind of thought would maybe make it on there is like Death's Door.
Awesome game.
I truly loved that game, and I thought it was really good. And when I was thinking about it, I was like, maybe it's just one of those games that's too hard. But Metroid Dread was actually really hard. But when we went that year to the Game Awards, Sekiro Shadow Dies Twice is actually who won. And that game's arguably way harder than Death's Door is, but it's along that same genre, that Souls-like experience. So for me, I don't feel like it's snubbed, but the game I would have liked to see up there would have been Death's Door.
Yeah, and I'd love to hear what you guys think. If you guys played anything this year that you thought would be on it, definitely drop down. Because, like I said, there's 30 other categories. So certain games that you may have thought would have been up for Game of the Year are probably going to be in another category, and they probably got a good chance to win. But with that being said, I just want to bring it back to kind of Microsoft. They're having a stellar end of the year. Not only did Halo do extremely well, which is a Microsoft-owned game, Forza Horizon, best-rated new game, Microsoft game. They've actually got the most nominations at the Game Awards. So there's 11 nominations to Sony Interactive Entertainment, which is always impressive from them. 7 nominations each from Capcom and Nintendo. 3 nominations for Bandai Namco, Ember Lab, and Valve. 5 nominations for Annapurna Interactive, Devolver Digital, Riot Games, Sega Atlas, and Ubisoft. 10 nominations for EA and Square Enix, but then a whopping 20 nominations for Xbox and Bethesda collectively. And if that doesn't say that Microsoft, or if you've been thinking that Microsoft has been slacking, this shows that they are moving in the correct direction, and people are really liking all their games. 20 nominations is nothing to sneeze at.
And for those of you who aren't in the know, maybe about the Game Awards, I think the cutoff date for them is like November 19th. So Halo is not going to make that sort of cutoff because it comes December 8th, technically, for the full game. So that's not going to be, I mean, it'll be a nomination for next year, but I don't think, unless it's crazy that good, I don't think games that tend to come out in, like, let's say December will really be brought up for Game of the Awards next year, because by then everyone's already forgotten and done so many other experiences.
Yeah, but maybe with the multiplayer keeping it alive, maybe that'll be something that people are still talking about.
I was trying to think,
December.
Did Fallen Order get nominated for whatever?
I
I remember
that was
that
up for action adventure. I don't know if it was up for.
I don't think it was up for Game of the Year, which personally I think that was one of mine for that year, because that game was actually really good. But similar case came out in I think December or maybe November, just after the cutoff.
Well, another like Cyberpunk was a game that, I mean, obviously it came out kind of broken, but that game is now up
depending on where you play it.
Yeah, that game's up this year for, even though it came out last year. So I think it's up. I think it's in the category for best RPG. Which I don't have a problem voting for that. Cyberpunk was fantastic if you got to play a good version of it. But yeah, so that's all the nominees. That's the nominations. Xbox, again, man, I just got to repeat it, is having a stellar end of the year. I mean, they're looking extremely, extremely well. So is there anything else on the Game Awards you want to add on? Is there any particular maybe category that you have your eye on out of the 30?
I'm not really too sure, because I usually kind of try not to look at that stuff beforehand. I kind of will go cast a vote every now and then, but I like to just be like blindsided. I'm more excited just to watch it to see what new stuff is going to come up. And we actually might try to stream it live while we're watching, so you can see our reactions, especially to whatever wins and maybe whatever new games are announced and something like that.
Definitely. So those are our two big stories, guys. Leave down in the comments below your thoughts on Halo and your opinion on the Game Awards, and if you think it's going to be good and what you think about the nominees.
Before we go, who do you think is going to win?
I casted my vote for Ratchet and Clank. That's because I already did one. I have two different ones. The one I casted for was Ratchet and Clank, but I'm the underdog in my heart is rooting for It Takes Two.
I personally think, looking at this list, Ratchet and Clank would win as well, but I would prefer Metroid Dread to win that one.
Dude, I would be surprised. I mean, I'm trying to remember the last time Nintendo took Game of the Year, and I want to say it was probably. Was it Breath of the Wild?
Breath of the Wild. I don't think Mario Odyssey did.
If any of these games won, I would be happy with that. Deathloop is probably the one I'd put last on that, but it's the only one I haven't played yet. So maybe after I play it, I'll change my mind and be like, oh fuck, Deathloop. That's the obvious choice. That's the obvious choice. So I'm really curious to see what you guys think of what is going to win Game of the Year. So with that being said, guys, let's move into riffing it up. So my riff is, guys, and it's more of kind of just a reminder, is that Pokemon Diamond and Pearl Remake came out. I believe it came out yesterday. So if you guys have been looking to jump back into the updated Pokemon on the Switch that you can finally play on your TV.
I might get it. I didn't play those.
Oh, I wanted to buy it yesterday, but I was like, you know what? I'm not going to buy a new game until I beat Metroid Dread, until I beat Deathloop, until I beat Call of Duty. You know what I mean? Because it's like I've got other things to play without this taking up 50 hours of my life. But I did want to point out that there's 6 big quality of life improvements that this game has, that if you are interested in playing it, this is some kind of cool things you can look forward to. So it's got an autosave feature now. So without having to stop and pause and save it every time you do something, it's going to have an autosave checkpoint system. The battles now show type differences, so it's always kind of cool to, when you look at the moves, to see what they are and then how they react against the type. So
was that not in the original one?
No, I don't. Not as far. This is something I think they've only had in the last few. I don't think it's been as far back as the original. I mean, obviously it wasn't if they're adding it.
I swear, Pokemon Stadium had something like that in there.
Stadium, maybe on 64. The other really cool thing I thought was interesting is you have access to the Pokemon PC anywhere now.
That's really cool.
Yeah, so if you want to switch your guys out, you don't have to run all the way back to the Pokemon Healing Center to go to the computer to switch out a dude, to run all the way back to use Cut, and then put him back in. So you can actually now, I'm assuming you probably get up like a smartwatch, you can probably just do that now. So the other thing is you can, using hidden moves, which are the HMs on Poketech, The other one, which I know a lot of people are like, is the experience share, which is they've been adding in the last few Pokemon.
Dude, I've seen some people complaining. They're like, "Oh, can we turn that off?" I'm like, why the fuck would you want to grind out that much longer? Especially some like low down fucking Diglett.
And then one of the coolest things I thought, because sometimes if you put down a Pokemon game and pick it back up,
I like this.
You forget where the fuck you're at, and the pause screen will now tell you where to go next.
I like that.
You got lost. And you're like, was there a gym I got to go to? Was there a Route 4 and I'm on 17 that I got to go back to? So that was something that was extremely cool. So if you guys are interested in it, it is out now and you can pick it up. I'm going to pick up Brilliant Diamond. Which are you a Diamond guy or a Shining Pearl?
I didn't play either of them. So
which one would you pick up? Get Shining Pearl then.
If you're getting Diamond, I'd have to get Pearl then.
There we go. Alrighty, so that's my riff, guys.
All right. My riff is that since the last time we've done a show, the Grand Theft Auto Trilogy Remastered has since come out, which would normally be good news. The bad news is it seems like they didn't really put a lot of love and care into it. A lot of the stuff either runs like shit, the missions are broken, it seems like some cars almost like instantly explode. There's a lot. Hey, go watch the IGN review for it because they have like a perfect breakdown of what is and is not broken. I watched some dude's video where like he's trying to do a mission, he's talking to the person in front of him, a car just comes out of nowhere off the sidewalk and just fucking runs him over and sits there idling. They have to wait until the car leaves and then the person gets back up and keeps talking. There's just a whole bunch of shit wrong with this. It's still Grand Theft Auto in every way to where you feel the aesthetics and everything, but there's just a lot of things missing or it doesn't have the polish that it deserves. But since then, Rockstar has actually come out and they released an apology saying, hey, you know, we're sorry. Obviously, the love and care wasn't taken and put into this. There's a lot of bugs. There's a lot of things. We have a patch coming out soon that's going to address a lot of the issues, and then we're just going to go from there. And I just think it's crazy for something as big as those games are and what they really did for that studio, for them to release that stuff in that state. Because I know you hadn't seen you'd seen a couple things, but not until I really showed you some of that shit. And it's crazy that you would let that leave your studio.
Yeah, it's mind-blowing. Especially this thing's piggybacking off of how bad and how much shit Cyberpunk 2077 just got with who does them? Red
CD Projekt
Red. And it's Rockstar. They have all the money in the world. They make money hand over fist daily. This game was not... Nobody asked for it. Nobody asked for a remaster of the trilogy. So they had all the time in the world to put money into it and make it come out right. The fact that they, I don't know, had to hit a release date with something that's completely busted makes no sense.
Yeah.
And it's just like... What did you guys do? Like, if you guys watch any of the stuff that is wrong with this game, it's, I mean, in my mind, is unplayable. And... I mean, because I was looking at it, I was like, oh, I wouldn't mind jumping back in. Because what came on Game Pass? Is it San Andreas?
San Andreas.
And I was like, yeah, I wouldn't mind
Pass.
jumping back in there and playing that. But when you watch all the shit that's wrong with it, it's like, why would I touch this game? Why is this game out? Who viewed this? Who played all three of them? How did this leave Rockstar? And it's just mind-blowing because it's like, how are we still at this point where like shit like this is slipping through the cracks? And that's the taste you're going to put in everyone's mouth? Is like, oh, I haven't played Grand Theft Auto in forever. Oh, it's terrible. And this is... disgusting.
Even still, like, oh, I've only played 5. Let me play the foundation. Let me see what really built this studio its name.
Yeah.
Dog shit.
People love 3. People love Vice City. People love San Andreas. And the fact that's what you release. And when no one asked for it. Nobody asked for the remakes of this trilogy. So
I was excited until I saw them.
Why did you have to hit this release date? And you have all the money in the world. Why did you not invest more into something that is the foundation of your guys' empire? So,
based off of what I've seen, I'd say this game probably should have sat another year before it came out.
Easily, because nobody would have cared if it wasn't out this year. No one's clamoring to it. So
yeah.
So with that being done, guys, let's jump into questions of the week. We're running long, so we're just gonna answer one person's question. And then Yusuf Kasim, we're going to answer your question in the SideReel so we can sneak another one in there for you. But Vivek Joshi Pro actually wrote in, and he's got 4 different questions for us. So you ready for them?
Yeah, a little 4-parter.
So the first one is, have you ever used a walkthrough? And we're going to say yes, because the last episode that was 2 weeks ago, maybe you missed it. Somebody else wrote in a question that was very similar.
Just talked about that,
and Andrew and I's overall opinion is that I have no problem using a walkthrough, especially the older I get.
Yeah, for certain games. Resident Evil 8, I didn't. But like when I played Metroid and I started getting lost because I don't understand the map, I'm like, where the fuck am I going? Then I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah, I like when I was even playing like Doom, or Doom Eternal. Like I don't want to hunt all those collectibles. Some of them are hard to find.
Oh, I look up
a walkthrough, and I usually use it for collectibles. The Guardians of the Galaxy, all the outfits. Yeah. I follow a guide, so no issue with that. The second question is, what's the best weapon you've ever used in a game? I'll say two. And one, sticking with Halo, the battle rifle is one of the best weapons that have ever been created. It's an awesome gun if multiplayer is kind of what you were leaning toward. The other one I want to point out is when I was playing Final Fantasy X, there were some weapons you could get, but they were like rare as shit to find. They were the Basilisk weapons.
Yeah.
And I remember early on, I ended up getting Wakka's Blitzball and Titus's sword. So the Basilisk weapon, if you guys didn't play Final Fantasy X, is if you hit somebody, it turns them into stone. And they can't attack, they can't do nothing, then you can just beat the shit out of them. So when I was playing 10,
Probably made it a walkthrough.
I found both of them early on, and I was like, oh, dude, these things, I mean, obviously later on, you're going to find way better things because they won't do as much damage. But I was like, that's cool. And when I was, finding out later on that they were rare to find, the fact that I got two early on in my game, I was like, that's awesome. So I would say those are some really cool weapons. I mean, there's 100 out there we can start naming, but I'm curious what yours are.
For me, it's probably any weapon on original Perfect Dark on the N64 because all the weapons had multiple functions. So, like, if you have the tranquilizer and you shoot someone, their vision gets all fucking blurry and they can't see anything. But then if you turn it to the alternate, it's a fucking lethal injection if you're up close. But my all-time favorite would come down to two. There's one gun that you're shooting, but then you throw it out almost like a laptop and then it fucking mounts and it starts shooting at anything that walks by. But my favorite is the shotgun. Because normally it's just a one pump, boom. But if you use the alternate, it's like goosh, goosh, and it's super loud, and then you have to cock it twice, and so you're getting a double burst with it. But I think any of the Nintendo Perfect Dark
That's so weird. I was actually just scrolling through because they just added 70 new games that are backwards compatible on Xbox. But I was scrolling through them and I was looking at Perfect Dark on 360 and I was like, I want to go back and like because I know there's Perfect Dark and Perfect Dark Zero. I'm like, because I think I had Perfect Dark on 64. Like, I wouldn't mind going. Oh yeah, it's right there. Yeah. I wouldn't mind going back and like knocking out those games.
It's got a multiplayer thing. Just on. It's got a multiplayer campaign walkthrough that we could do, so you can play together. Where either you're both on the same team, or I could be the person on the other team trying to stop you from beating the mission and sabotaging your shit.
Oh, maybe that's where they got it from.
The OG Deathloop.
So the third question that they ask is, what was the first game you ever remember playing? And as generic as it sounds, what I remember is Mario on the Nintendo. Like I remember like my dad and mom playing it. I remember playing it. But around that time, I have vivid memories of me and my brother playing Contra, and I remember playing Kung Fu. Like, obviously, so my games are Nintendo games. That's my earliest memories of playing games, and those would be the three: Mario, Contra, and Kung Fu is what stands out in my head. Ikari Warriors was another one, but those would be the main games I remember.
The first game
You're more of what? Super Nintendo would be your first games?
No, I being younger, that I vaguely remember playing it because I'm obviously not old enough. My first, I'm old enough to play whatever, and I remember anything, kind of going forward.
Like Duck Hunt.
Would be Super Mario World. But before that, I have vague memories of playing... It's on Nintendo. I think it's like Mr. Spot, where you're playing as the fucking 7-Up red dot or whatever.
I had that
For
game.
some reason, I don't know if my aunt or someone fucking had that game, because I've never really played it. I think I remember jumping back.
It's a good licensed game.
But I think I might have been 3 when that came out. But for some reason, I remember running along the beach as the fucking guy and jumping on the fucking
Was it Spot Goes to Hollywood or something? Was that it? That's what says a Spot Goes to Hollywood or something like that.
Beats me. Though. So I just remember the beach level and you're just running along the beach as the fucking guy.
And the last question that he asks is, have you ever pretended to be sick to get out of something you could play a game?
All the time.
This is standard operating stuff in high school and junior high. I remember one specifically.
I do it now.
Yeah, one of my ex-girlfriends, Jackie, she bought me, so back in our homeroom class, or maybe it was first period, I forget, they would do Channel 1 or something. We'd have TV. And there'd be commercials and stuff like that. And I remember Kingdom Hearts came on. And Kingdom Hearts 1. And if you don't like Kingdom Hearts, I get it. But Kingdom Hearts 1's a good game. And I remember it going and I was like, dude, this is PS2 days.
That OG trailer was good.
And I was like, dude, I want to play that. Final Fantasy mixed with Disney, that's like my cup of tea. And I remember I came to class and it was on my desk. She bought it for me. And I was like, oh, sick. Next day, sick. And I stayed home the next 2 days and played that. Yeah, so that's a memory that I remember, getting it in school and being like, all right, I'm calling off. Mom, I'm sick the next day and I'm playing it.
I was gonna call in sick for Halo, but I already had the day off. But I still do it now. When the Series X came out, I called in sick.
Yeah, I remember I was in NAU and Force Unleashed came out, and me and my buddy were like, all right, well, we're not going to class all day today. And we're going to play that game. So, I mean, there's a couple different stories we could rattle off that are like that. But yeah, that's something that I think I don't want to say serious gamer, but every every fan of specific game that they love has probably done something along those lines.
For sure.
So thank you for the questions, and those were 4. So Vivek Joshi Pro, thank you so much. We are running long, so like I said, Yosef Kasim, stay till the side reel. We will answer your question there. So before we leave, guys, I do want to mention the contest. Normally I'd put up the video right now so that you guys could see the rules and all that stuff, but this is the last episode to enter on. So if you guys have not been keeping up with it, I'm not going to hold your hand and tell you all the information. If you guys want to go back to episode 105 to this episode 112, cast your votes, because next week when Andrew and I do episode 113, that is when we are going to announce the winner for the Xbox Series X. If you guys do want to know more details about the contest, find our video in our feed and it'll tell you all the rules and stuff you guys need. So, with that being done, guys, we are done with episode 112. My name is Craig Perales. That is Mandrew Montemare. And until next time, cheers.
See ya.
All right, guys, we are on our side reel, and like we promised, we're going to answer one more question. So this question comes from Yusuf Kasim, and I hope I'm saying that right. Apologies if I'm not. And it says, or he says, I'm assuming he says, love the ep.
Thank you.
Yeah, I finally have a question for you guys. What do you prefer nowadays, Marvel or DC? Both have changed these past years. Hashtag LastCallX. Now, I don't think I had time to say it to you. That question, I don't want to say is misleading by any means, but you got to remember, Andrew and I also collect and read comic books. So when you say Marvel and DC, most people these days talk about the universe, the movie universe.
DC Comics, Marvel movies.
So are you talking collectively overall Marvel and DC, or like you're doing it? Do you want to split it like that?
I'll split it for now, but
So say it again. What were your answers?
Marvel movies, DC Comics.
Marvel movies, DC Comics. I think that's probably the way to go. Because Marvel movies are just dominant juggernaut action powerhouses.
Until this new Batman comes out, we'll see.
DC has a few gems, but overall, I'm not a huge fan of Wonder Woman's. I love Man of Steel. The biggest thing they still have is Dark Knight, and that is old. That's literally, the early aughts. And so the fact that they haven't made a great movie for me easily puts Marvel in that category, because Marvel makes great movies consistently. As far as comics go, I'd probably stick with Marvel. I'm a big fan of Spider-Man comics, and that's mainly what I still read. And I love the new Miles Morales. I love the Spider-Gwens. I love the Amazing Spider-Mans that I still collect and stuff. So I would still probably go with Marvel. Yeah, I think I'd go Marvel. But I would say this. I would say DC for shows.
I thought you were going to say video games. DC has arguably had the better video games.
Definitely. Well, now we have Spider-Man and we have Guardians of the Galaxy. Marvel's up there.
They're coming.
All Batman, all they have is Arkham. But I would say
technically, would they have Injustice 1 and 2?
Oh, yes, they do. That I will give them that. And I would say TV shows, you've got all their cartoons are stellar. I love Injustice, which is out now.
Yeah, all the DC shows are
But the shows,
way
you've
better.
still got Doom Patrol, you've got Titans, you've got Swamp Thing, even though it got canceled, was really a good show.
I remember Constantine being cool.
Constantine was awesome. Even old school shows like Smallville and stuff like that. So let's redo them. Comics, you're picking.
Comics, I'm still going to stick DC.
And I'll say Marvel. Movies?
Marvel.
And I'll say Marvel. Video games?
I'll still say DC.
I might lean to Marvel, man, because I've had a blast with the last 2 Spider-Mans, and Guardians was great. And then TV shows.
TV shows DC.
And DC. So I'm Marvel, DC. So, thank you for the question.
Thanks.
That's actually really kind of cool to think about. And I like being able to break it down in different kind of categories. Let's do it overall, though. Put all 4 together. I think with my answers, I'd have to say Marvel still.
If I had to put them all together and I could only have one going forward on the future, I would have more trust that Marvel would do it right than DC, because they have. So
yeah. So our answer is Marvel. Leave down in the comment section what your answer is, and super appreciate the question. Thank you.
See ya.